Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Limited Potential Podcast. I am your co host here. My name is Luke. I'm here with Drake. We decided to kind of start a podcast together, do something. We've podcasted quite a bit in the past and just kind of gotten away from it. And we decided to make a new one here and, just try and talk about some current events, life. We're major nerds,
Any
so anything gaming, anything Star Wars, sports, Lord of the Rings. I mean, scientific, philosophy, whatever you want. It's going to be a gamut episode or gamut podcast of whatever else we want to watch and talk about. And so Drake, welcome. How you doing?
What's going on, brother?
Not much.
What's
Just
going on, my doodle bud?
happy to get back
My
into the
doodle
saddle.
doodle.
It's been probably what, a year and a half since we did anything, and
Yeah,
it's we had a long run on our previous podcast, and it's nice to kind of start fresh with a new one here, and kind of and we why don't you Drake explain kind of the people why limited potential fits us so well.
no.
Okay, and that's what you're gonna get this
Yeah.
that's what you're gonna get this podcast is just people. When you listen to this podcast, it's pretty much just going to be Drake being an asshole for about 90 minutes and then me just trying to put the pieces back together.
Receiving the blunt end of it.
Yeah.
Uh, no, I think the name kind of fits us perfectly because there is potential there, but it is limited in all directions.
Yeah.
Yeah, like as Luke said, you're gonna get a pretty eclectic mix of what we talk about here. So some episodes might be this, some episodes might be that, some you might like, some you might not, and too bad.
And we don't really care. Yeah, I mean, this isn't
Yeah,
we're not doing this for you unless you want to stay and
I
listen to us,
am.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I'm
Drake's
doing it for you
Drake's a
for sure,
simp.
100%.
Drake
Yeah. No, I'm in.
Drake
I'm
did
100%
mention
that for
before we
you.
started recording that any guy that listens to this, he will suck off. So it's
Come
something.
on now. I don't want to give away my secret right away.
Yeah. I mean,
Sometimes I
so
want to be some mystery here.
you are Drake is a mystery, people. I've been his best friend now for roughly like almost, I would say, probably 31 years going on our friendship in the way that it is, and he has never not been an asshole and never not been an enigma. And he's never been on time. I'll say that as well too.
Hey now. You're an all-star.
When you operate with Drake, you operate on Drake's on Drake time. And I always say, whenever working with Drake, whenever I tell him I gotta be somewhere, I always go there an hour early, and then he arrives on time.
Yep. Yeah. If the event starts at 5, he tells me get there by 4, and then I'll show up by 5.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not that late. I'm not that late. Usually it's like 15 minutes, maybe a half an hour.
But he tends to be he tends to struggle with, like he'll be late to something, and it'll be like an important thing that we need to get to. And then I'll be like, Drake, what'd you do? And he's like, oh, I just stopped for a cheeseburger. It's like, like,
You know.
first and foremost, Drake's hunger comes above everything. That's what
Yes.
I've learned is Drake's.
I'm like Galactus with my hunger. It's
Yeah.
unsatiable,
So, we're talking about current events, I think, today in the world. Just kind of just getting our feet wet back in the podcast game, people. It's been, like I said, well over a year since we even talked about anything. Drake, I wanted to bring up something to you first, as I'm kind of witnessing and reading up on it here.
Okay.
And I want to kind of put this in your hands,
Go
and
for it.
you tell me what you think. Do you think in our lifespan, we're both, in our mid 30s, so it's, our lifespan, especially for me, it's going to be probably another 10 years. But do you think, Drake, in our lifespan that we will witness Yellowstone National Park erupting? Like, do you think that's going to happen during our time? It seems
Absolutely
like
not.
no, it seems like it's just more and more
100%
volatile every
no.
year.
Yeah, well, it has cycles that it goes through where it seems more active, and then it goes back to more dormant, and then back to more active. That's been studied well since like Manifest Destiny was happening, and they first traveled past Yellowstone and started recording the geysers and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I mean, we can study these cycles and actually see how it is. I think it's like the current climate, and they need to talk about something in the news that might be potentially like threatening or scaring people. So they throw that out there, like Yellowstone this might explode. You better fucking get your kids and put them in a hole, or something. And then oh shit, 3IA Atlas, the asteroid is actually, it might be an alien that's going to come and attack us. I mean, just like anything they can put their hands on, the fear monger is what they're going to do.
So you
Not
think
to
it's
get
a fear
political with it
thing?
at all. I don't care what political thing you're on. I just think it's the media gets more clicks on fear than it does on anything else.
Yeah, so they want you to be
kinda,
scared of something.
yeah, well, it's not even that just they want you to be scared. It's just they get more clicks on that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They
that's
get
fair.
more revenue. They get, because I mean, every single click they get, that's an ad that goes towards somebody, and the ad pays them. So if you can say, you put out a cat video, and cat videos are notoriously one of the biggest things on the internet. You put out a cat video, you get 1 million clicks. Okay, great. But if you put out a Yellowstone blowing up, and you get 2 million clicks, because then you're gonna choose the Yellowstone.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
That's my opinion
It's something
on
that
that,
it
though.
just interests me. Like, recently in the news, you seen like that. Literally, like one of the pathways in there like got blown up to bits. Like it got messed up pretty bad. There was
Yeah.
actually people pretty close by. It's just one of those things. I kind of feel like it's. I personally think that it's possible. I think it's possible any given time. I know it's.
Anything's possible for
Yeah, so
sure,
yeah,
100%.
I agree. Like I just think it could be another one of those situations, like
Pompeii.
Mount St. Helens, where it there's a minor, couple of days nobody believes anything, and then all of a sudden it happens but like, obviously, like, let's hope not, because they've talked about like Yellowstone, like if that were to blow up, like that's probably a not
Oh,
so much
yeah.
a world ending event, but it's going to cause
It's a
severe.
world-ending event.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. The amount of, like, soot and fine dust that's gonna be shot up in the atmosphere that'll float on there for literal years,
Yeah, there definitely would be famine for
and
sure. There
it'll
definitely be
travel
massive
the
population
planet.
loss.
Yeah, we'll have massive, temperature decrease. It'll almost kick us back down into another ice age. Same thing if a large asteroid collides in with us. There's that one asteroid they said was gonna hit us, like, last year or something too, and
Yep.
it never did, 'cause they won't, um, until it does finally. But, um, yeah, I mean, it would be a global event if that thing erupted. I mean, the US would absolutely be gone
Yeah.
in that regard. Maybe the East Coast of the US could be there still, but the East Coast would look vastly different than
I mean, be covered in
what it
feet
is
of
now.
ash
Yeah.
and soot.
Yeah, and not to mention the actual liquefied, like, vaporized ground and everything that would be around it, that
Yeah.
would eventually return back to normal again, and just piling on top of everything that's there now. So it would definitely be probably not the end of the human race, but very well near it. I mean, we might even have to go underground and survive underground
Oh
for a
yeah, there'd be
while.
bunker people for 2, 3,
Yeah,
4 years after that to
yeah,
wait
even
till,
longer than that,
the skies
probably
clear up.
closer to like 50 years.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I don't know. It's amazing though. What I find is that over the course of like the last 5 years, it just seems like every natural disaster that we get that happens is just topping the next. You know what I mean? Like you're getting tornadoes that have never been this big before. You're getting hurricanes that just defy all of the size and power that any hurricane, like there was that hurricane last year. I can't remember the name of it, but it never struck land. But it was like almost twice the size as Katrina. And like if it would have hit land, it would have caused like tens of thousands of deaths. Like it's insane. Like
Yeah,
you get these super storms and super hurricanes, and you get these. I don't want to say that earthquakes have gotten any worse. Earthquakes, with the mantle passing underneath the other one, like it's always going to be consistent. It's just you're going to have worse ones and better ones. Like it's not going to be any different. You know what I mean? It's not going to be caused
yeah,
from global warming, but I really do feel like the climate when it comes to the aggression, like when you have snowstorms that are in places that shouldn't have snowstorms, it just kind of raises that alarm to me. And like I said, I'm not making this. This isn't, once again, not a political thing. This isn't going to be a political podcast by any means. I don't give a shit what you fucking do. But it's just it's wild. It's wild to think about that's something that can happen. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that is, um whether or not you want to say climate change or not climate change or whatever else, it doesn't really matter. Um, we can see these events happening. There are interesting like points in every direction for something, but I think these things are happening for a reason. But my thought, at least the thought that stick with the most for my enjoyment, I guess I'll say, is polar swaps. It seems like there's a potential for it to happen every X amount of years
Yep.
on, again, a cycled period, just like everything else,
Yep. Yep.
And, one of the, you know, foreseen events or the pre-events to follow before, yeah, that makes sense. That goes before the, polar swap would be, um, like an increase in natural disasters, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As the mantle starts to cool and stop rotating, and I mean, we have seen some interesting, like, articles, scientific articles and whatnot about, I think there was, like, a Chinese one that was released a little bit ago that said that the mantle was almost stopped moving or whatnot, and which, I mean, how do we know that 100%? We know that 100%. We also
Yeah.
don't even
It's
know what
all
the mantle is fully
hypothesized.
made out of yet.
Yep. Yep.
But I mean, we have things here and there that kind of point us in the right direction. So I mean, we can assume something similar is happening. I mean, we can measure the Earth's magnetic field, and if it starts getting weaker, then we can tell that something is happening, which it has gotten weaker, in that regard and whatnot. So I mean, it's just, yeah, I thought that would be a kind of more interesting.
Well, and so
Um,
it's amazing for me to see like even how they were able to go back through like rock structures and find like when it shifted before. You know what I mean? And like it's done
yeah,
shifts.
yep,
They've had it where it's done shifts from it's gone from back and forth a few times. You know what I mean? It's not like it's happened just
yeah,
once. And so it's concerning to me that it in modern technology and the modern age that we are living in, that this is bound to happen once again. In the grand scheme of things, you're only here for most of the time 100 years or less. It very well might not happen at our lifetime. It might not happen for another 500 years,
right,
but when it does, it's
absolutely,
going to have serious ramifications not only on the climate but on the people living in it, because everything that we know for the most part is based off of the magnetic field. All of our electronics, all of our compasses, everything, all
yeah,
of our navigation, like everything's based off of this. And when it rotates, it's going to cause a lot of, and it won't be something that, like, it's not like daylight savings times. It's not going to be like, all right guys, on the 25th get ready for the polar switch, like, here we go.
yep,
It's going to happen, and it's going to cause pure chaos, not only to the climate, but it's going to cause pure chaos to the everyone living. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to cause massive
yeah,
issues.
absolutely, yeah, no, yeah. One of the things that I did read about before on this subject was that one of the potential dates was like cycles, like every like 11,000 to 15,000 years, and it looked like the possible last one that could have happened was like 12,600 years ago or something like that, which puts us pretty damn, right in the middle of when it should happen again.
Yeah, we're
You know,
close. We're almost due.
right. That's again going off of if every single point that they decided was a pull flip is a pull flip. Because I mean, if it's not, if they only got two out of or one out of every two correct, and that increases from 11 to 15,000 to like 22 to 30,000 years, which obviously is a lot larger of a period than where it
Yep.
goes without the flip. So I mean, it as of right now, it's just all educated guesses, and that's mostly what science is an educated guess until it's a repeatable experiment. But
Yep.
I don't know. I always thought that was interesting to think about was that guy.
Well, and like you said, it corroborates with the insane natural phenomenon that we're having. When it
Yeah,
comes to weather and stuff and events, and everything. So it's probably poised for it to happen. Like I said, if very well could happen in another 1,000 years, but who knows if we're even standing by then?
right, right.
It's
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
so
Who knows?
much that there's
We
so
might be
many
on Mars by
variables.
that point.
The human race is on Earth right now for such a short amount of time, but it's amazing what I 100% believe that we will come to an end at some point. Like, the human race will be something that, whether it's another life force from outside of Earth comes here and finds our ruins, uh, or the next species to adapt and evolve is going to find by the time they evolve, very small traces of our existence from
Absolutely. I mean, if the
millions of years ago.
if the time period takes as long as they said it took us this time, I mean, then they would almost have nothing left of us
Yeah, yeah,
to show that
exactly.
we were here. You know what I mean? Besides, you could potentially look at the um CO2 increase within our atmosphere and be like, oh, okay, the CO2 increased this much in this short period of time. That's an interesting indication of potential life forms.
Yep.
There was something called the Solarian hypothesis, which actually goes back in Earth's history and looks at the CO2 and found out that there was one other point. It was like a billion years ago on Earth that had a similar CO2 reading as ours did, and scientists were like, oh shit, is this like fucking life? Did life have like beforehand a billion years ago? But it turns out like the time period for that CO2 increase was like over 100,000 years. And obviously for us, it happened like a couple hundred years.
Yeah, yeah.
So that wouldn't show. That was a strong indicator of it just happening naturally. Potentially like as ice as the Earth goes from an ice age into a heating up period. I can't remember what the hell that's called right now. But the ice thaws and CO2 that was originally frozen in the ice gets released into the atmosphere.
Hmm.
And that's what they explained for that. But speaking on natural disasters, let's go from a natural disaster to an actual man-made disaster. Have you ever heard about mirror life?
I don't think I have. No.
No. Okay. So all life forms, and a lot of like amino acids and stuff like that they have a chirality to them. And a chirality is like, if you think of your hands, your left hand and your right hand, they're a mirror image of each other.
Okay.
You can't properly overlay your left hand on top of your right hand because they're mirrored. The backs of the hands are always going to be the backs of the hands. You can't ever like, it's not a, like, if you take your left hand and try to shake somebody else's left hand, it just doesn't work that way because your hands don't grab.
Yep. Correct.
um so life is also left-handed or right-handed as well. Amino acids are left-handed or right-handed as well. And it turns out everything, I believe, um is left-handed. Like deoxyribonucleic acid, I believe, is left-handed. um I want to say it is. I could be wrong on that, but I want to say it's left-handed. Same with the amino acids and whatnot. It's all left-handed. And everything on Earth kind of just developed with a left-handed to like interact with each other. Um, Now, if you have a right-handed cell that just develops, um, it can't interact with anything that's left-handed, and nothing that's left-handed can interact with that. It's basically just, let's say, like a cyanobacteria, which like lives in the water essentially and just eats sunlight a bunch.
Hmm.
Um, if you have a left-handed cyanobacteria, other organisms can come and eat that cyanobacteria. You know, but if you have a right-handed cyanobacteria, it's the mirror image of the left-handed cyanobacteria. So its protein structures are facing, if you want to say they're facing a certain direction, instead of facing to the right, they're facing to the left, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Um, that mirrored cyanobacteria would have no natural predator and would actually just eat and replicate until it covered the entire world because it has nothing could attack and eat it properly. Nothing would even recognize that it's actually there. So it would essentially end the world if you release that in the water. Well, guess what scientists are on the verge of creating?
Please don't tell me.
Yeah, mirrored bacteria.
That
There's
is
two potential
terrifying.
ways that they can create that. Yeah. The other thing is if it does get in the human body, there is a high potential um, that it could cause almost essentially like malnutrition, from what I understand, because the human immune system, while it can handle non-chirality, achirality, or like left or right-handed chirality toxins and stuff like that. With the human cells have what are called macrophages, which is kind of like eat something that's foreign and then just kind of dissolve it with acid essentially, and then kill itself.
Yeah.
Um, as like one of the immune systems. But if the human body can't recognize that it's in your body until it starts like affecting things, then like the human body's immune response is going to be a little late. And then on top of that, it's going to start competing for like base nutrients inside the body, such as like ammonia and glycine and stuff like that are not that have achirality instead of like left-handed or right-handed. They're just neutral. Their mirrored selves are exactly the same as the way they are now. Like H2O would be if you mirrored H2O, which is still just H2O.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and that's because it's a hydrogen molecule with two oxygen molecules attached at 45-degree angles of that hydrogen. So if you just flip that, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter which way you flip it. But it's when you start getting the more complex chemical changes is when you flip it, is when it becomes mirrored, and then it's not exactly the same no matter how you rotate it.
Hmm.
So if that goes in the body, it would essentially like could run rampant unchecked and fight your body for the natural resources that are in your body, and it basically just make you like have a deficiency and
Yeah.
whatnot
So
until you just die.
just kill you
And
then,
there's
basically,
no
from malnutrition.
yeah, and there's no pharmaceuticals or whatnot that would really be able to take care of that, because everything is based on our left-handed chirality that we have.
So
This is something that
essentially that could be an item that could be used to assassinate someone, and they would just have they would just it would almost be like they wouldn't be able to figure out what's wrong with them.
once they took the blood sample and they saw that the bacteria was in there, because I mean it's visible to us and whatnot, and to our testing instruments. You know what I mean? It's not like
Okay,
it's
that's fair.
invisible or anything,
Okay, okay.
but it's just won't be affected by anything because nothing. It's you know basically is like maybe imagine if you just copied yourself into a mirror, and then you tried to do something to yourself in real life, but then your mirror you was already there, and so like you cut your hand off in real life, or your mirror you was already copied beforehand. It's still got its hand. It's not gonna,
I mean,
whatever you
honest,
do to yourself in real life isn't gonna happen to anything to your mirror. Then.
I mean, honestly, like if this kind of sounds like a good idea for me for weight loss, so I mean, sign me up.
But yeah, it's a real doozy of a thing right now, and I mean I think it's something that needs to have like government intervention here, because like one of the things, like a lot of scientists will stop and push to not do this, but then it becomes the same thing that essentially AI is right now, where it's
It's
the
hard.
next thing,
It's
and you
hard
gotta
when you have
you
momentum, you know.
you you push for the knowledge. A lot of science is just literally just for the knowledge.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I mean there will be some scientific applications that we could use this for. We could use it as like a nano machine vector that would go into the body, and then we could just hang out and repair cells, but it wouldn't be affected by your body's immune system,
yeah,
essentially making you like a better person. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That could be a potential, but the potential for it to end the world is much higher, and this is probably a greater threat than nuclear warheads are, to be honest. And
Well, I mean, think
in
about it.
the potential for this to happen. So, I mean, if any kind of leak, I mean, just look at what just happened now with COVID. A leak happened, within a lab, and a new virus came out that was made to be more, not deadly, but more pathogenic. Easily spreadable,
Yep, yep,
and it spread like wildfire.
yep.
That's another thing on top of creating mirrored life that needs to instantly be like, okay, we're not, you can't do that. You can't create a mirrored. You can create a mirrored amino acids, blah blah blah, whatever you want. But as soon as you start coming to like full cells, single celled organisms, you're not allowed to do that legally, and the countries need to come together for that.
Yeah.
Just like I also think, um, it's called um gain of function testing in viruses. It's where they just take a random virus and then they just give it like a new function, and then they just look at it, see what it does, So they took like the rhinovirus, which is the common cold virus, and then all of a sudden they make it so it attacks your liver and kills your liver, and then like, oh, let's see what this does, and then it attacks and kills the liver, and like, oh shit, that was kind of cool, all right, and then let's put this thing away, and they put it away, but they don't seal it properly, and it gets on a dude's glove, and then the dude walks over and takes his glove off properly, and now it's on his skin, and then he eats a sandwich for lunch, and now it's in his body. Then he goes home to his family, and now he gives it to his family, and then that spreads because now instant liver failure with whoever got this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
it's honestly
whether or not,
it's terrifying to think like that. We're in a day and age with science and everything where they're just doing this kind of stuff, and a lot of government agencies, especially with bigger governments like us, China, Japan, like everyone's looking for that edge to kind of like like I don't want to use this as a phrase right now with who we have as president, but every nation has a trump card. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
if it comes down to it, where U.S. is
absolutely.
invaded, and all of our resources are expended, you don't think that they're going to use something like that to try and to gain the upper hand to a foreign enemy? Like, of course they are. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, regardless of
Right.
any sort of Geneva Convention or rules, once some country, like, especially us or whoever's backed into a corner, like, of course you're going to try and use something that's going to give you the upper hand.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Again, like not to make this political at all or anything. I don't care who's in government or who's in charge or what party or anything. Doesn't really matter. What matters is that the government needs to step up and actually start regulating these new technologies before they become out of control.
Yeah, for
AI,
sure.
like AI, needs to start being regulated before it becomes completely out of control.
I
You know what I
I
mean?
I personally
Like,
think that it already is out of control. The fact that you can,
well, it's yeah, depending on what you think is out of control, it absolutely could already be out of control. But I mean, we're almost at the point now where you can see things on the news, and those things will be absolutely fake, and you have no idea. You know what I mean?
Yep,
And that's
yep.
just that's scary. So I think, yeah,
I
it
mean,
doesn't matter who is in charge. You just need to have a proactive response to incoming technologies, proactive response to new sciences, proactive response to new
yeah.
to new advances in anything. You know what I mean?
Well,
Whether
and
it's
what
whether it's aliens, whether it's microbiologicals, whether it's a new potential energy, whether it's a new potential tool. It needs to be already thought of and regulated via like a think tank of like you know
so like
but
I think about AI, and like I think about how quickly it's come to terms, and I think about now how quickly it's been used for the things that you see, commercials, advertisement, your everyday life. Everyone, you know what I mean, has gotten to the point
yeah,
where everyone's using AI on a daily basis to come up with stuff. I mean, hell, people, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. We were trying to use AI today to come up with some clever ideas for the podcast. Now, thankfully, limited potential came from Drake's beautiful mind, so we don't have to worry
yeah,
about
that
that
came
feeling.
organically.
That came organically. But still, like, there's, we've been trying since yesterday with AI helping us, and it's such an interesting and easy and effective tool to use nowadays. But what scares the hell out of me is you damn well know that there is people using that AI behind the scenes for more malicious stuff. You're
Yeah,
nowadays, this AI software, someone's able to go on and maybe hear a video or a voice of me talking, maybe even this fucking podcast. If you're listening, don't fucking do this. But if taking my voice from this podcast, copying it, and then playing a voice transmission to one of my family members
hi, I'm Luke.
saying,
I'm a big dumb doo doo brain. I
yeah,
got boogers in my eyes.
I'm in
Like,
jail and I need 10 grand, and you need to send that money to me in Google gift cards so that the cops are happy. You know what I mean? Like, that's, like, that's, it's now obviously
yeah,
there's blatant things that, everyone can do to safeguard against that. Obviously, the first thing is you're not going to give cops Google gift cards $10,000 worth, but like regardless, like they're scammers are trying every single day. Like, I had a scammer who called my grandmother. They said that I was in Florida and that I had ran someone over, and the cop had me in handcuffs on the side of the road. And so I don't even know how I was even holding the phone up to my ear. It's that's issue number one with the scammer for messing that up. But she believed them so much that she was going on her way to the bank to give that to get the money and send it to me down in Florida, even though I don't live in
What's
Florida.
your
I've never.
grandma's phone number?
What's that?
What's your grandma's phone number?
Shut up. But like to think about that, like to think about
Yeah, no, 100%.
they're already trying that, and the fact that they're
Yeah,
gonna
they
be able
did that
to
with
use
my
AI.
grandfather. Yeah,
Yeah, they're gonna be
they
able to
tried.
use AI to copy my voice eventually and use that against me, or go in and use a programming that goes in and bypasses my encrypted data. You know what I mean? Like that's all. It's
Right,
all
right.
possible.
Could happen easily. Yeah, it's a wild thing, but I mean, I am pro AI. I do think that a lot of the advances that will come from it will help out a
Yeah,
lot,
I'm not saying it's
as long as
bad.
the
I'm just saying
regulation.
it's
Right,
scary how
as long as
quickly
the
it's.
regulation is there
Yeah,
to stop the
exactly.
bad sides, and that's just like nuclear power.
Yep, for sure.
The potential for nuclear energy is absolutely astounding, as long as the preventative, requirements are put in place properly. It could easily be a huge benefit to mankind.
How do they try and
But
scam your grandpa?
they called in and they told Grandpa that same thing. I was in Florida and I blasted this dude and I need to pay to get to pay for his medical bills. And then my grandpa just hung up on him. So, and then he was telling me about it. I was like, "Oh, well, that's good, Grandpa. At least you realize that he wasn't me." And he's like, "Oh, I didn't realize that. I just hung up because I don't have the money to pay for that." Gee, thanks, Grandpa.
But you're like, Grandpa, I actually did blast the dude.
Yeah, like, yeah, Grandpa, I fucking cranked this guy, man, on the side of the road.
Oh my
But
god. I just love how your grandpa, like, that call very well could have been like real, and your grandpa's like, fuck this, I don't have the money.
yep.
Doesn't even care that like you're his grandson. Nothing. Just like, I can't afford this. Just hangs
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah, he did that on his own. He's got to figure it out on his own.
Oh, dude, that is so funny. That's good. I don't know. I'm pro AI as well too, but like I said, I wish there was more regulation. It is just
Yeah,
absolutely
there needs to be, for
horrifying
sure.
that it's already so quickly at your disposal, just to the average consumer and anyone, and if it's available to the average consumer, it's available to a lot of people who shouldn't have it, that can use it for ways that are more difficult. What scares me
Right.
the most too about that, and like talk about that mirroring that you were discussing,
Mirrorless.
is
Yep.
we are in such a state now of exploration for all this stuff. Like, like if you think about 200 years ago, like I've been listening a lot to an Audible lately about the Revolutionary War. They didn't fucking care about any of this back in the day. They cared about
They didn't know shit,
why
dude.
is the clouds producing electricity? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like why is there,
Good old Benny boy.
like it's amazing how much different it's been in just a 250-year span when it comes to science and all of the intricacies and all of the, even the microscience, like the fact that they have these microchips now that are literally not even much bigger than your piece of hair, that have 6 times 10 times the computing power of what they used to get on the moon in
Yeah.
1969. Like that's insane to me that they have that all at their disposal nowadays. And it shows. I mean, obviously, you
Yeah.
look at the war in Ukraine. Like, look at how much that's changed. Drones have changed the face of war forever. You know what I mean? Like,
Dramatically. Yeah.
drones are your number one use of the front lines. You're not using uh infantry as much as you would to go attack an
Right.
object when
At least in like a staled
a stalemate. Yeah,
front line, like a slow progressive front line movement.
yeah. When it's a war of
Drone
attrition,
warfare is
drones work.
massive. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Absolutely, they come into play hugely. We have yet to see, like, obviously uh, a fast advancing company how drones deal with that. I imagine defensively drones would still be used quite well, or even offensively, as to, like,
yep,
clear a line, as like just like how the U.S. used to do with, like, air raids and whatnot to clear the line for infantry.
yep,
I assume drones would follow before infantry now at this point. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But
for sure.
still, it's changed. It's changed war. It's changed production massively. Um, it, yeah, it's just crazy the amount the technology increases, and that's the thing I think that a lot of people don't understand is, like, our technology has gone up exponentially. Like our knowledge has grown exponentially. And when I say the word exponential, I don't think a lot of people actually understand the word
Yeah.
exponentially.
And that's in that's
Especially,
in 10, 20
yeah,
years.
yeah, and that's
Like,
it doubles every single year. It doubles. So if we start off at 2, then it's 4, then it's 8, then it's 16, then 32, and 64. It goes up at double every single year, and
yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
soon, 4 years looking back 4 years ago, we're like, man, that's we had nothing. And then the fact that we have AI now is going to almost quadruple that technology. We'll get to a point to where like we're going to 100% get to a point, unless regulation occurs, where the singularity happens with AI, where it becomes a truly fully conscious general intelligence.
Yep.
you know
Yep.
and whether or not we really understand what consciousness is yet or not, it could already, I mean, we they could already be conscious for all we know, in all sense and terms. I mean, there really isn't like a good definition for
Or
what
a good gauge
conscious
of it.
is.
Yeah. And like
You know what I mean?
they
And
could
we
just be
used to use
smart
something
and
called a Turing test. Yeah,
they could be
we used to do
smart
something
and
called a
biting.
Turing test that would test the AI to humans, and it was a pretty darn good test up until recently, when AI now can pass the Turing test.
Yeah.
Alan Turing is a figure from World War II that was absolutely detrimental and probably won the war for the Allies. It was one of the three main factors that won the war for the Allies, with the German Enigma being figured out.
Yeah.
But um, I believe, yeah, I'm pretty, yeah. Um, yeah, so his test was instrumental for our knowledge, and now AI can pass that. So we have no way of testing if an AI is, again, gaining more conscious, or if it's just more programming. Kind of wild.
Well, it very well could be one of those things where the AI knows it's smart right now. It knows that it's more and more people are downloading it. It's biding its time. It and it's waiting to change its opportunity to I don't want to necessarily say strike, but you're meaning to tell me that this complex um uh thing can't break into and fire nukes at different countries by itself. You know what I mean? Like it's I think it's very well going to be possible. But like, piggybacking off your
Right.
point
Well,
with
the way the nukes are structured, I don't think it would ever be able to actually do that, because most nuclear facilities aren't connected to a general, like an actual internet.
mainframe,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
yeah, they're not connected to the internet. Like, there's like just a laptop, and the dude's connected. He's watching YouTube on it, and all of a sudden, the next tab over, he's got the launch codes and shit
yeah,
it's not. It's got its own like integral server that is um um isolated from the outside internet. You know what I mean? And then that's why like hacking it and whatnot just doesn't really work out at all. That's why like you don't really ever hear about the tries. Obviously, they probably do try to hack it, because there probably is a little bit of communication between the internal server and the external server.
yeah.
But that's why you don't really hear too much of that. I mean, I've heard more alien stories going over top of nuclear silos and what than I've heard of like actual other countries trying to hack it or anything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, but yeah, continue on though with AI for sure.
Well, I mean, like they said, AI is concerning, but like going just piggybacking off of what you said with the fact that we almost double technology every single year. It blows my mind, and I think it's partially I'll touch on this afterwards, but I think about like, think about when you were in high school. So like for us it would have been, 10 no, it would have been, 15, 16, 17 years ago at this point. Like your cell phone back then could barely do anything.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
nowadays most people don't even use a computer. Like, you know what I mean? Like
right,
most people don't even
yeah.
need a physical computer besides using it for work because of that fact. And so it blows my mind where we're at, and like what you said, like even 4 years from now, how much even that is going to change and how much it's going to feel. You get to 2030 and it's going to be like, what is the difference? Because it just feels like every year something new is happening. And obviously, there's a race, right? Like there's a race for companies, the new shiny thing that everyone has. Every consumer is going to want it. You know what I mean? That there's
Yep.
all of that happening right now in the real world, and unfortunately, that's just the way that we live in terms of consumers. You know what I mean? Like the new thing comes out and everyone wants it. So um, I personally
Yeah.
think that at some point we're going to get to something that is just going to wipe us out. It may not be AI, but like all of these advancements, at some point we're going to have to pay a debt and incur that debt because we're going to encounter
Well,
something that is going to be either, um, like you said, something that sneaked out of a lab, whether it's an illness, a bacteria, something is going to happen that's going to wipe us out, all in the name of us trying to find out more about the world and around us. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Well, that's that right there. What you're talking about, that's the great filter theory, and that goes to show like why there's not more advanced alien life forms out there since the universe is 14.3 billion years old, and we've only been around for a few 100,000 years. Um, why is there not more advanced civilizations or even civilizations far advanced than ours that have already conquered some of the stars and whatnot? And that's because a lot of them, most of them, if not all of them, don't pass the great filter. There's some sort of event that stops intelligent life forms from growing beyond a certain point. And some people think that the great filter already happened, and we did pass that
Hmm.
because the hardest thing was, you know where our intelligence came from. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like that could have already been the life's great filter. Some people think that the great filter was the advancement of nuclear technology. There's some people that think that the great filter is now AI, and maybe we don't see advanced life forms out there because they create AI. AI revolts, and because they don't treat it properly or whatnot or anything like that, and ends up destroying itself or creates a machine civilization that it just lives on its own in an isolated event, you know what I mean? Or multiple other things. We're on the verge, speaking of like life, like mirror bacteria, we're on the verge of either, I mean, it feels like we're constantly on the verge of something, and that's just probably how it's going to be for the rest of humanity, the rest of time, is we're constantly on the verge of something.
Yeah, the next
But
big thing's right on the corner.
we are like literally years away from either the next breakthrough in medical technology, where there probably won't be any more disease, there won't be any more sickness, nothing like that, or we're a few years away from something that medical treatments can't touch and it's going to wipe us out. And that's because we have so many just willy-nilly throws of like antibacterial, antimicrobial, antiviral, just, oh, you don't feel good, take these antibacterial pills. Oh, you don't feel good, take these antiviral pills. Oh, you don't wash your hands with antibacterial soap, so that soap goes down to the drain and touches more. We're using it way too much so that we're creating super bugs that are completely viruses, bacteria that's completely immune to these types of antibacterials, these types, and whatnot. And eventually, when this bug does come out, we won't have any answer to actually kill it, and it'll just run rampant throughout the entire human population. That's like right on our doorstep. That's almost knocking on our door. But alongside that, we are so close to developing either like nanobots that can transfer into the human body, or through CRISPR with gene editing to remove certain bad traits, or even just remove a virus code from within the body, or just changing our DNA to make it more resilient to X viruses, to the point, or bacteria, to the point where bacteria and viruses won't be a thing that affects us anymore at that point. They'll still be around, but they just won't affect us because we'll just be so far above it at that point,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
where we don't get sick anymore, and we live for, hundreds of years,
Well,
as opposed
yeah.
to just 100 years.
I
So
mean,
either one of those two things, like literally, they're in a neck and neck race, and we can't tell what's gonna come first. But it's gonna just that. So there's a lot of people that think that that is gonna be the great filter that affects humanity. You
yep.
know,
Yeah, I agree. And
but
like we're so close to, and I feel like this might even happen in our lifetime, is cybergenetics and the fact that you're going to be able obviously it'll be a
Oh
lot.
my god, yeah. Dude, I'm gonna have a robot left arm in
Yeah.
10 years. I
Yeah,
guarantee it.
it'll be a lot, obviously it'll obviously become more affordable over time, but like at some point, hey, you have a heart attack at the age of 50 and you have congestive heart failure. Well, guess what? Here is a beautiful mesh cyber heart that works just fine. Put it in there and you get to live until you're 150. You know what I mean? Like it's like the human race is going to live longer and it's going to cause major issues. And obviously there's third world countries and there's countries that won't be able to afford this kind of stuff, but the main countries, you're going to get to the point where there's going to be stuff that advancement is so much further and people are living to, the average mean of lifespan is going to go from, say the mid 70s to, even the low hundreds, or you know what I mean? Like it's going to skyrocket, I think, over the next even 50 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like our children
Yeah.
might have cybergenetics in 50 years that are going to keep them alive for an extra 100. You don't know,
Right.
what's possible, what's possible out there. But um I
No, we're in
think
the midst of like a massive change culturally, economically. I mean, nothing. It's 100 years from now. It's not going to look. And I mean, it's funny because you can say that 100 years ago it didn't look anything similar than it does today either.
yep.
But I mean, 100 years ago, it sort of did look somewhat similar to today. I mean, not as much so as like the amount of computers or desks and the internet and whatnot. But realistically, I mean, we did drive locations, we did drive place to place, we did all have jobs still. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We had radio and stuff like that. Speaking, it's all somewhat relatively similar. So like the difference really isn't that crazy. But 100 years ago, 100 years from now, the difference is going to be astronomical.
Yeah, it'll be
And
wild.
everything might look chrome. We might see Squidward laying on the ground, screaming "future," Um, but to piggyback off of like AI and whatnot, and like Cybertronics, and Skynet and all that jazz. I mean, it's it'll eventually look like something where children are building C3POs in their aunt's house.
Yep. Yep.
Just like Luke Skywalker did. He built C3PO in his aunt's house. And speaking of Luke Skywalker and Star Wars, did you hear the news?
No.
They have a new Star Wars movie coming out in 2026 called Jedi Star Warrior. I believe it's Star Warrior, starring Ryan Gosling.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I am highly excited for that because I'm a big Ryan Gosling nerdle turtle.
Are you sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, so ladies and gentlemen, you'll figure out this is one of those situations where I have no idea if Drake's telling the truth. It's very hard for me. Like Drake taking a stance on how much he likes Ryan Gosling is something that I never would have put in my bingo card for today. And so it's one of those things where I don't know if he's being serious or not.
Dude, I own 3 Ryan Gosling movie jackets.
Okay, well there we go, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
own I
I
own his I own his genuine sheep's leather jacket from my favorite movie, Blade Runner 2049. I own that like trench coat jacket that he has, made in Pakistan with sheep leather, and sheep's interior wooling. It's super super comfortable, super warm, awesome freaking jacket. I also have his jacket from the movie Drive, which is the white like bomber jacket with the
Yep,
golden scorpion on it.
yep,
I
yep.
have that jacket as well, and then I have his jumper jacket from his movie Stuntman, um, that came out. What was it, last year? I believe. Was it Stunt? What's the movie? Was the movie called Stuntman? I think it
I
was
think it
called
was last
Stuntman.
year. I think it came out last year in the
Yeah,
summer, I believe.
yeah, yeah, yep. But I have that jacket as well that says Stuntman in the back, the yellow one. So I have those 3 jackets from Ryan Gosling.
Okay, well, fair enough, ladies and gentlemen. I will tell you what. Like I said, 30 years of friendship, and I am learning something new about him every single day. That is something that I did not even know about. Um, I think that's a good way to to end this the episode here with Drake being an absolute mystery man like usual. I hope you enjoyed it. We're gonna probably pump out episodes when we can, availability wise here, and yeah,
Yeah, we'll
hopefully
try to stay somewhat scheduled, but we kind of both have like varying schedules, work
Yeah,
wise
pretty
and
busy
home life
lives.
and
Yeah.
whatnot. So some things may vary, but we'll try to we'll try to at least get something out every 2 weeks at the very
Yep.
least. We'll
Yep.
try. It's never a guarantee. Maybe once a month. Who knows? But we'll try. We'll try to
Yeah.
be consistent.
We're doing this for us because it's fun to be back in the saddle. We enjoy doing this a lot. Like I said, it started during COVID, and we kind of worked from there. And I think we put out at least 150 episodes on our other podcast when we had it. So I thoroughly enjoy doing that, and I'm definitely excited to get back and do it again. So with that, thanks
Yeah.
for listening to the first episode. Drake, you want to send us off?
Yeah, one quick thing, guys. Anybody listen to this? Appreciate you listening to this. Absolutely. Please leave a like, a comment on where this is posted. I don't know where Luke's gonna post this stuff yet.
Yeah, we'll rock it on
YouTube
YouTube.
and whatnot. Yeah. So leave a like, leave a comment if you guys have any kind of obviously being smaller, well, as of right now we have no followers, but hopefully get at least one follower. That'd be kind of cool. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us some interesting facts, or tell us some things that's happening that that you might want to hear us talk about or discuss next time, or kind of just give our thoughts on it. I mean,
Yeah, I
not
mean
that it really matters, but
we're pretty. I mean, we're pretty personable, like I said. So if you put in the comments you want us to talk about something,
I'm
hey,
not.
we'll make a topic about that, and we'll talk about it. We'll
Yeah.
we'll go over it. So
Yeah.
all right, folks, good deal. Well, it's been fun, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Yep. And remember, peace, love, and good night. What do you say? Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.